Said that's the next bit, didn't I? So that's the start of it. So obviously that's that edge there, then it goes down there, which is that, and then it comes back down again, which is there. If I put that in now, then I can't get this curve on it, so it has to curve over. So you can see that's got to curve right round like that. So I'll shrink it first, then I'll do the edge. See, it's starting to curve, only a little. We're getting a bit of curvature on it. It's a bit at a time. Don't want to go too far on it. Difficult to hold this and show at the same time, but you get the idea. So that's following the curvature, isn't it? A little bit more in the middle there I need to do, but we're getting there. That'll do it, won't it? So that follows it nicely. Now that's not too long, and I'll show you for why. So you've got 20mm there, off the end of that. You see? We go this side. Got repair there, haven't we? We go 20mm off the end of there. Puts it in line with mine, doesn't it? So that's why I've done it a bit longer. So now we've got to do the next return. You know, we'll have a look at that in a minute. Next thing is try and get this line in it on the swaging tool. I'll have to knock it over by hand after that, but try and just get an edge to work to, really, which isn't that easy, seeing as someone's put a Maserati in the way. I might be able to feed it through in there, you see. Go up between that suspension mount. Anti-roll bar mount there. It's a bit weird on the end here because it dives off in a slightly different direction, which you'll see why later on the car. Right, that'll give us the beginnings of a fold to work to. Next up, we use this little edge setting tool to pull the edge up a bit. I need to find one about the right length. You can see they're all different lengths. That'll do it, won't it? That should do us. So this end is a bit longer, so we'll start like that. And just do a little bit at a time. It's easier in the middle because you've got a lot of shape to hold it. When you get to the ends, it tries to unfold this edge. Remember, it flares out towards the end here, you see. It's slightly odd the way it is, but I've measured it a few times to check it out, and it's definitely what it does. And you see our edge starting to come up. And you'll have to finish it with the hammer and dolly, obviously. So the next thing is knock this edge over. got a bit more weight to it, that one. And also, you mentioned it's curving that way, isn't it? So we don't want to flatten it too much. So we want something with a less wide end on it. So I'm not trying to finalise that edge yet. I'm just trying to get this bent over. So you can see I'm sort of working off of here a bit and not really thrashing the edge too much, the corner as it were. So I'm more trying to move the metal across. You move it over rather than put a sharp fold in it at this stage, because I might need to finesse that, you see. So the idea is just to get it over, the edge over, you see, at the minute. That's all we're trying to do, is get that edge over to where it needs to be. Then we'll tighten it up afterwards. So there, you see. But before I really sharpen that edge up, I want to check it on the car. Make sure we got what we know what we want, because unfolding is going to be very difficult. And this is 1.2, so I'm doing this out of thick stuff. It's actually 1 mil on the car, or just under. But I think this could do with a bit more strength in it here, because it carries the rear bumper and so on. So I'm going up to 1.2, which is taking a bit more moving. But anyway, you get the idea. It's going to work, isn't it? These bumper irons have got to come off, these locators. So I've cut that one off, and then I've replaced this bit on the back here. Now you can see that step down there from there. Well, that is because it bumps over that piece of metal there, which is obviously missing. But that would allow it to go over there like that, you see, and line up. So that should be on there. So it's a little bit of a quirk, but it allows it, you see, otherwise you've got a step. Well, it allows it to have the step, doesn't it, you see, like that. So I've sorted that out. Now I want to get the other one off. But what we'll do, we'll have another look at that in detail. Be that bit there. See there? So that's an extra bit. So you've got this piece, and you've got that one that joins onto there, then it's all seam welded down. So that's it. But I'll cut this off. But you can see that's a fresh bit of welding, because this bit's been let in. But they've cut the outer panel off to do that and then welded around here, you know, lead a piece in the outer. But that, you know, isn't factory. And I say this would come out here more. Well, we'll look at that later. But this has not been changed. This is how it is. So we've got datums, you know, we've sort of put some marks here. So we can work that out. It looks like a reasonable weld, but it's actually split. So there we are. That's actually a bit of that piece there. And that bit is that. And then we can see there's our extra bit under there. And then under here we should have that step, shouldn't we? Between there and there. We'll have a look at that in detail in a minute as I take it apart. We'll just get this plate off so we can see what's going on under there whilst we're here. So we just take that weld off there, and then we should be able to fold that up. You see, that allows us to see what some of the original. You see they've just welded straight over all this rust. But here we can see the remainder of it there, which is useful just for reference. Yeah, we're trying to work out what's original, what's been replaced, and work. You know, we're trying to replace the original stuff, and ignore the, you know, the plates that have been welded on, which is why I'm unpicking them to give us, you know, so we can get back to the original for sort of datum and for information, which we're getting there. Yeah, I'm sort of, you know, deciphering it gradually. I'll pop that up in there so we don't completely crush it when we're gripping it with the vice. Then we'll see about unpicking this. So we're saying that first bit was a bit of the return on the floor, or the floor corner, as it were. So see if we can unpick that. Yeah, see, that's got a spot weld on it, which means it's factory original, not MIG welded on. So that's that bit. So now we want to go under here on this bit. See, that's the inner valance, as it were, the panel we're working on. And that won't have any spot welds on there, it's just welded around the perimeter, because that's how that's fitted to it, which we've seen that in practice. That's being stubborn because that's on this bit, which is looking back to front, aren't we? So that's the inner part, and that's the bit we're making. That's the part we're making that does that. You know that bit? Well, there you go, look. That's effectively that bit. That. Look at that. All trapped between it. Hardly surprising, but that's what you get. This is this extra piece that I'm saying about. And that's the rear valance part we're making, or the inner structure of the rear panel I was just saying about. And then that's the main part of the own panel. So this is the bit that I've just let into that other one. And that would allow them to line up. Well, obviously they're not lining up at the minute because all the rust has made this grow out, hasn't it? It's swelled it up. But that would work. Anyway, that's what we're dealing with. So I want to salvage this, salvage all this tube, take this off though. That's part of the rear outer panel. And then this is the inner panel we're making. So obviously that comes down and joins there eventually. Now that panel is that panel on the wall, you see? And you can see the repairs on that, which sort of corresponds with what we're doing, doesn't it? You see? There. That area. Anyway, you get the idea. So that's a lot better. Messing around with those bumper irons that I was saying about. And what I've done is I've set it up on this. So if I move this round, you can see it. So I'll turn that round. So that's part of my jig thing that I put it on. You know, when I had it on the rotisserie? You have to look at earlier videos if you want to see that. So of course that holds the datum of where these go. So I'm able to set it up on here and make sure everything's about right. About right, all proper. Needs to be more than just about right, doesn't it? So there you go. So that's it. That's with the bumper iron, or carriers or whatever you'd call them on there. And then that's that bit I was, saying about how it has this piece of metal to bring it up to that size. So that's looking good. So that's the first bit of the rear panel. That's the first bit we're mucking about with. And that's got all those shapes in the right place, all that curvature's right, and then that's got to go on there. So that's got rid of that. Now we can see what we're doing. So that's the remains of it, but you can see what it's got to do. So I've got to make that panel yet, but you can get the picture of what we're dealing with. So that'll pop on there like that, won't it? So that is going to do that, and that'll put these in the right place and so on. Now that's pushed out at the minute because because that bit of metal's there, and we've still got stuff sort of holding it back a bit. But, you know, that will sit back in there and do what we need to do. So I'm quite pleased with that. That's not bad, is it? That's not bad. That gives us what we want, really. So yeah, got the curvature, got the lot. Obviously we've got to make this, but you can see how much rust was in it. You know, so that's the remains of that lower edge, which is that edge. So look, you can see there's just nothing left of it. So it was pretty bad. And that was where, remember, if you go back to them early videos, where it was all full of tar in the back of it. So that's off. So that's about 0.9 actually. And I've done this in 1.2 to put a bit of strength into it. This I'll do in 1 mil, because this is probably 0.9 or 1 mil. And then we have these reinforcers here, which are for the tank straps. So that's going to be the next challenge, sorting this one out, which shouldn't be too bad. But you can see there's a lot of shape in this bit, and then it sort of tapers off through there. So, you know, this top edge isn't too bad, but this is going to, you know, going to be a little involved, isn't it? But that's it. I'm pleased with that. And shortish video. So if you're bored, having finished this video and wanted something else to do, I'll recommend another channel, which is called the Turin Automotive Historian. Check him out, see what you think of his stuff. Not about workshop and working on cars, but it's about the history of some of these remarkable Italian cars. You know, well, check him out. Let me know what you think. I'm going home now.